Lee Radziwill lived in Jackie Kennedy's shadow for 85 years. She stole boyfriends, competed for the same men, and fought over millions. When she died in 2019, people thought they knew her story. But her daughter Tina broke her silence after 6 years. What she revealed about Lee's favoritism, emotional coldness, and family secrets shocked everyone. The confession exposed a side of the famous socialite that even Jackie never knew. Some truths are too painful to tell while people are still alive. Lee Radziwill was born on March 3, 1933, at Doctors Hospital in Manhattan. Her full name was Carolyn Lee Bouvier. Her father was a stockbroker named John Vernu Bouvier III, though people called him Blackjack. Her mother was Janet Norton Lee, a beautiful socialite. Lee was born just 4 years after her sister Jackie, who came into the world on July 28, 1929, in Southampton. But the world they were born into was falling apart. The Great Depression had crushed the country. In 1933, the same year Lee was born, unemployment hit 25%. The stock market crash of 1929 had destroyed millions of lives, and the Bouviers were not spared. Blackjack's brokerage firm was barely staying afloat. He lost clients quickly, and the family had to move out of their luxurious homes. By that year, more than 15,000 banks had failed across America. Lee later said that her father's risky decisions during that time made her terrified of losing money. She grew up craving stability, something she felt her childhood never had. To make things seem better than they really were, the Bouviers clung to an image of old money. Blackjack even told people they came from French nobility. But by the 1970s, family tree researchers exposed it all as fake. Their real background traced back to a cabinet maker from the 1800s. So, Lee had been born into a world that was already pretending, already falling apart, and she would spend her life trying to rewrite that story. From the time she was 3 years old in 1936, Lee split her time between a fancy apartment on Park Avenue and a grand estate in East Hampton. But behind the glamour, things were messy. Her father drank heavily. By the late 1930s, he was finishing bottles of whiskey every day. He had affairs and violent moods that were whispered about in high society circles. In 1935, he got sued for taking $100,000 from family trusts. That nearly destroyed them. In 1938, he lost his Wall Street job, and people even gossiped that he had been involved in insider trading. By 1940, everything came crashing down when Lee's parents divorced. She was just 7. Her mother accused Blackjack of cruelty. The courts gave her full custody and made Blackjack pay $1,000 a month in alimony, even though he was drowning in $200,000 of debt. The scandal played out in the newspapers, and Lee never forgot it. Lee and Jackie were suddenly living between homes, surrounded by tension. In 1942, Janet married again. This time, it was Hugh D. Auchincloss, a wealthy oil heir worth over $50 million. The new marriage brought more children into the picture, like Yusha, born in 1927, and half-siblings Janet in 1945, and Jamie in 1947. Lee felt like she didn't belong in this new world. She was only 10 when she started, fighting with her new stepbrothers and stepsisters, worried about who would get what in the future. She once said those years taught her not to trust anyone. When her father got drunk and passed out at a family event in 1942, embarrassing her in front of everyone, she said she made a promise to never show weakness again. Lee spent summers at a place called La Sata, a 7-acre estate in East Hampton that her grandfather had bought in 1925 for $50. It had 8 bedrooms and views of the ocean. The family hosted famous names there. By 1937, Lee was meeting people like the Vanderbilts and the Rockefellers. On the outside, it looked magical, But inside things were tense. Jackie, 4 years older, was the star. In 1940, Jackie won a pony riding contest. Lee was 7 and cried when she lost. Their grandfather, Major Bouvier, died in 1948, owing $1 million in debt, and the family had to sell Lesada in 1950. Lee later said that no matter how beautiful a place looked, it never meant peace. One night in 1939, there was a drunken fight at Lesada. That night, she learned that high society could be cruel behind its polished surface. By age 5 in 1938, Lee and Jackie were already being dressed in matching outfits for photos. Their mother was obsessed with image. Even during the Depression, Janet spent $500 a year on their clothes. After the divorce in 1941, she put both girls into ballet classes that cost $200 per session. Everyone always said Jackie was prettier. That hurt Lee deeply. In 1950, at just 17, she got a nose job to change how she looked. By the time she went to Miss Porter's school in 1947, she had learned to copy styles that would later make her famous. But the style was a mask. One day in 1939, when she ripped a dress, her mother locked her in a closet for hours. From that moment, Lee began hiding her pain behind perfect clothes and perfect smiles. She started school at Chopin in Manhattan, then went to the Holton Arms School in Washington. In 1947, she entered Miss Porter's in Connecticut, where tuition cost $1,500 a year. That would be more than $20,000 today. She was good at drawing and acting. Her 1950 yearbook had kind words about her creativity, but she failed math and history. Jackie, on the other hand, got straight A's. She even won a Vogue writing contest in 1951. Teacher said Lee was bright but wild. She skipped homework, chased thrills, and got detention 2 times a week in 1949. She hated being compared to Jackie and started looking for her own way out. At 15 in 1948, Lee started rebelling. She skipped 12 classes one semester. On October 15, 1948, she got caught smoking cigarettes behind the dorms and was suspended for 2 weeks. People were shocked. They thought she was the good daughter. Worse, there were rumors she had a 20-year-old boyfriend named Peter. Her mother pulled her out of school for a serious talk on November 5, 1948, but it didn't work. In February 1949, she climbed out a window and hitchhiked 10 miles to a party. She came back at dawn, messy and smiling. Her father paid $500 that year to clean up her messes, but still called Jackie the favorite. In 1950, she forged notes, missed 18 days, and nearly lost her $50 a month allowance. That year, Lee began pulling away from the perfect Bouvier image. Society began to notice. She spent summers at Hammersmith Farm in Newport, a 28-room estate her stepfather's family had owned since 1887. They bought it for $100,000. Starting in 1941, she learned to ride horses. By 1946, she had won a ribbon on a pony named Dancer. She had to learn manners and French phrases from governesses, but she never felt like she fit in. Her stepfather was worth over $10 million. Her half-siblings, Janet and Jamie, were born in 1945 and 1947. During a big party on August 15, 1948, she stayed upstairs feeling invisible. In 1950, she stopped helping with chores. On July 3, 1951, she snuck off to sail and got stuck alone for hours. On June 28, 1949, her stepfather caught her sneaking liquor. A family fight followed. Even with all the yachts and picnics, Lee felt trapped by a life that wasn't hers. Lee Radziwill never liked being just someone's sister. In the early 1960s, while most people still saw her in Jackie Kennedy's shadow, She quietly started working with Giorgio Armani. It wasn't official at first. She would wear his custom pieces while traveling around Milan, showing off a black and white striped top and a velvet skirt that later turned heads at a 1982 event. By 1980, she made it official, becoming Armani's special events director. This was her first real job, and by 1985, she was earning $50,000 a year. It might not sound like much today, but back then it was shocking for someone born into high society. She used her charm and connections to bring Armani into Hollywood, even introducing him to Richard Gere at a party in 1980. Armani's sales in the U.S. exploded from $10 million to $135 million by 1984. She helped him dress Oscar winners, even though Jackie reportedly wasn't happy about it, since she preferred American designers. But for Lee, this was her chance to finally stand out. In 1966, she took another big step by working with Truman Capote on a fashion series for ladies. Home Journal. The article surprised readers right away. Lee admitted to secretly borrowing Jackie's Givenchy gowns back in 1961 when money was tight, even sneaking them into the White House against JFK's wishes. She revealed her clothing budget was only $20,000 a year, and sometimes she pawned her jewelry for as much as $5,000 to keep up appearances. Capote helped write about her trip to India in 1962, including a $1,200 Twilight Talon Yves Saint Laurent dress she wore. The articles came out in July 1966 and reached 2 million readers. But things got tense when Lee admitted she always felt insecure around Jackie, whose wardrobe budget was 5 times bigger at $100,000 a year. The partnership made her more famous, but also more vulnerable. People gossiped that Capote loved her more than she realized. And when he later exposed private stories in a 1975 magazine piece, their friendship ended for good. Back in February 1962, Rolling Stone magazine gave her a huge spotlight, calling her the chic Radziwill. It was a 10-page spread with 15 photos, including her posing in a $3,500 Mandarin dress by Yves Saint Laurent. She wore $800 turbans and $2,000 gowns, living the high life. One story talked about her 1961 camel ride in Pakistan, where she lost a $500 shoe. That article made her stand out, and it boosted YSL's U.S. sales by 40%. But it also stirred up trouble with Jackie, who slapped her during an argument just 1 month later. That same year, Jackie wore a similar YSL dress to a White House dinner, quietly showing her disapproval. Even fashion became